Greetings, this is Jim Lindsay. The purpose of this video is to show you how to create flyers using Microsoft Word. I'm using Windows 10 and I have Microsoft Office 2016 on this particular computer. If you're using Office 365, whether it's on an Apple or whether it's on a Windows computer, you should see something very similar. It's impossible to make this for every different variation of operating system and version of Office, but you know what I'm about to show you should be very uniform, regardless of whether you're Apple or Windows, and whether you're Office 365 or Office 2016, Office 2019. I predicate this lesson on the one that I made for Microsoft Publisher, so you need to have watched that one already. I'll show you where that lesson is. That's on the Blackboard site, lessons and assignments from the week 1 module over Penny. The Penny lessons here. There was a desktop publishing lesson about flyers using Microsoft Publisher. The reason that you should watch this one, and the reason that its contents contribute to what I'm about to show you, is that this is the better tool. Microsoft Publisher is a desktop publishing software program that it's straight up, maybe you drag and drop, you put stuff where you want it. This is the better choice. Between Publisher and Word, hands down, this is the better choice. If you use a Mac, that's not an option for you, so you're figuring something else out to do. So that's why I'm going to show you Word. But these things I'm going to be mentioning, I will have alluded to them in this lesson already, so make sure that you've watched this lesson about how to use Publisher, because it is very applicable to what you're about to hear as well. Okay, so I'm going to start Microsoft Word, and Word is it's a desktop. It's a word processing program. You can do some desktop publishing with it, but that's not its main goal or its main purpose. When you look at, I'm going to go to File and New, and when I go to this File New part of this, it's called the Backstage of Office here. As you look at these top choices up here, you're going to see different categories of things that you could look at. In addition to these categories, you can also do searches. Let's say I wanted a newsletter. I can do searches, and through the internet, what Microsoft Word will do, it'll basically go out there and look for templates that match what I put in as the search term. In this case, what we're trying to make with this first assignment is we're trying to just make a flyer, because I want you to get some practice with desktop publishing, using the principles that you learned about in those first 5 chapters of the design book: contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. You always start with, anytime you start desktop publishing, you always start with a flyer. It's a 1-page document, and therefore it's very simple, and that makes it the ideal starting point, right? So again, I did a search for flyers. There was also, when I first started Word, this was one of the choices. I could have selected it and would have brought up the same box here. And what you do is you just scroll down this list if you wanted to use one of their templates. And let's say you're going to do something like an Easter egg hunt. Wow, there's a really pretty Easter egg hunt flyer right there. You could select that, you hit create, you see it downloads it, and it pulls that down to your computer, and then you can start to do your modifications to it. For example, you can put in the month and the date, start times, etc. It already has the artwork in there. Much like Microsoft Publisher, it is a template, a big collection of templates. This is an existing template within Microsoft Word that you can also download and start with. So that's one option. You can go to that File, New, and do a search for things like flyers, and then select something that's there. You also could start from scratch. You could go with a blank document. Now, what I'm going to do here, I have a picture on my desktop, which I'll show you. Here is an image of Julie Andrews from The Sound of Music. She's in a field of wildflowers in front of, it looks like the Alps Mountains here. And so we're going to make this a background for, let's say it's going to be some sort of singing event, because there's a lot of music in that movie, right? So I want this to basically be the background of the page for my flyer. So with that in mind, I'm going to go to Microsoft Word. I have a blank document here, and I need to insert my picture. Then I need to start getting my own blocks of text onto the page. You'll recall from the publisher lesson that less is more with flyers, because you only have that long to get somebody's attention with a flyer. And so really what you need to tell somebody is, what is this thing, and then how do I get more information? So we want as little text on here as we can. Really what you're trying to do is get somebody's attention with a very provocative image that draws them in, and then you hopefully have hooked them well enough that you're going to be able to get them to, you either give them a link that they go out and get more information for, a QR code, or maybe you can actually put enough on the page to tell them everything they need. But that's the purpose of a flyer. And as I get into, let me close the other. This is that Easter thing I downloaded a moment ago. I'm just going to go ahead and close that. So the only thing open word-wise is this blank document. I'm going to insert a picture. Could you do this multiple ways? Yes. But I'm going to insert a picture here. And I have it on my desktop. It's called Andrews for Julie Andrews. There it is. And then I'm going to maybe change the orientation of my page. Make that so it is landscape. And I'll try and make this picture as big as I can to fit on it. Take up as much as possible. And this is where this is so much harder than Microsoft Publisher, because with Publisher you could drag this thing anywhere you wanted to, put this wherever you wanted to, and it's going to go easily. With this one, you're running into margins, and it's a lot harder process. So could I go into the background and make this the background of the page itself? Yes, but again, this kind of gets what I'm about to show you and I'll let you wrestle with that. This gets you, I think, where you need to go. So now I have an image on my page, right? Now I'm going to, let's say I want a title about this, some sort of concert. So I'm going to use something like word art for that. Go in here and find some word art that would be sort of stand out. And what you then get into is the layout options. And you're looking at, so you click on this, do you want this thing, specifically text wrapping? Do you want this text to basically be on top of the picture? Do you want it back behind it? Do you want it to wrap around it? What you're going to want with these is you basically want your text up in front of the picture, right? So I'm going to go with that, and I'm just going to make this say my concert. And once I've got that on the screen, I'll try and place this where I want it. To some degree, I get some drag and drop here. To some degree, I can go in here. If I go into the the specifics about like exactly how they shape it, the text is shaped, etc. You get some choices with that, but that's one way you can get some pretty sort of artsy sort of text onto a screen is through word art. Another is text blocks, right? So I'm going to go through insert. I'm going to go to, say, a text box here, and here on my page. Okay, there it goes. So again, from my insert tab of the ribbon, I'm going to go to my text box. It gives me different types of text boxes. I'll go with this simple one right here. And note that it moved everything down the page. I don't want that, right? So going to this text box, again, going to its text wrapping, I'm going to tell it to be out here in front of the page. Then I'm going to move this to some part of the page and get some text on here. Let me type this. So I've typed, who, what, when, where, and why. And those would be the things I would want to communicate very briefly in the text on my screen here, and then format the text accordingly so that it went well with my picture and other things on my page. Is that beautiful? No, it's actually pretty darn ugly. And again, because of this tool, it's really hard to use this tool and make things that look nice compared to some of the other tools. But if this is the only choice you have, then that ends up being the only choice you have. So that's some stuff I wanted to share with you about making a flyer from using Microsoft Word versus Publisher. Again, all those same ideas about being brief with this kind of document, just hooking somebody that all still applies to here, and then to get the same drag and drop sort of ability, so you can take a box and just place it on the page where you want. That's where you're going to get that text wrapping and work with that as well as possible. So those are things. Now, what would I do with this? I would save this, of course. I'll just save this on my desktop as my concert flyer. And the other thing I want you guys to do is I want you turning in PDFs to me in addition to the source document, in addition to the Word document. I also want to see a PDF of it because, and so I'm going to go back here, I'm going to save it again, same place, and this time I'm going to do it as a PDF. And the reason for this is that you may have fonts on your computer that I do not have, especially if you're using a Mac. And what this will do, if you turn in a PDF to me, turn in a PDF as well as the Word doc or whatever program you use, I get to see it exactly like it was on your computer. Because if you send it to me and as a Word doc and I don't have the same fonts, Word substitutes something else. And so what I end up seeing is actually different. So that's an important step. Make sure when you're done and you've saved it as a Word doc, then you go back in, save as, and make sure you're outputting that also as a PDF document, Adobe portable document format. And that's it. So thank you for your time and attention. Hopefully that's helpful. Contact me with questions. Thank you.